Okay, we are in midway through November, and Christmas is everywhere, quite literally everywhere. Okay, and no matter what we do now, everybody is talking about organising Christmas. And this is the time of year where the pressure starts to amp up on parents, especially. The kids start going, oh, this is what I want for Christmas, start handing out Christmas lists and letters to Santa. And it really is this time of year, sort of get to sort of mid November, and the pressure is really going to start showing. Um, it sounds weird that, we're only in November, but and we really shouldn't be putting that much pressure on ourselves because we're still in November. It's not we're Christmas month yet, but because Christmas is broadcast everywhere, it's in the shops, it's on the TV, everybody's thinking about it, talking about it. Kids are starting to get excited about it because they're talking about it in schools now, and they are, because this is the time of year where they start talking about it in schools, start getting ready with things like the nativities and you know things like that are all beginning to get in place now. And this is the time of year where the pressure really starts to amp up on parents. you know they've got to start organising sort of costumes and time off work to see their kids in their nativities and their pantos. And you know, they've really got to start sort of organising their time and their money. And for working parents, not only is it really difficult to organise all their time, but also to find the money that they need. Because one, it's not always easy to get the money together to pay for everything we need to pay for this time of year. And you would be surprised how much money we need to pay for everything we need to pay for over Christmas period, especially through schools. Because schools are not cheap, no matter anything. I mean, kids in schools, you have to pay for everything because they're just like that. They just are. You know, I'm lucky. I had one. He's out of school. I'm like, yay. But going through school, and they're like, oh yeah, you have to buy this. You have, costumes. They don't come out of nowhere. No, you've got to organise that yourself. You know, you have to organise. There's Christmas parties. You have to, you have to organise food for the Christmas parties, and you have to accommodate everybody because there's allergies and there's intolerances. And you have to accommodate all of that. That kind of money has to come from somewhere. You have to accommodate everybody, and you have to do it all through the schools because they have to, like the Christmas parties in their school. Um, you know, and these, you know, and of course, like the non-school uniform days, which you have to pay for. And although it doesn't seem like a lot, when you add it all up, it costs. But you also have to find the time. And when you're a working parent who's in a full-time job, when you've got to find the time to get off work to be in your kids' be there to watch your kids in their nativities. You've got to make sure you're there when they're off school, and if you can't be there for the whole 2 weeks that they're off, you've got to make sure you have money to put them in school clubs. It's hard being a parent, whether you're single, whether you've got partners, whether you've got a whole family of the people that can help you. It is hard actually finding the time and the money to have your children this time of year, because on top of all of that, you have to pay for Christmas. And your kids are like giving you lists of things that they really want for Christmas, and they're writing their letters to Santa. So this time of year, is when the pressure really amps up, because now they're really got to sort of get their head in the game and think, oh my God, what am I doing? How much of this have I got? How much of that have I got? Have I organised this? Have I organised that? Have I made sure this is in place? And if they've forgotten even one thing, they're screwed. And if they've got multiple children, it's even harder. And you can't turn around and say, well, why didn't you start Christmas earlier in the year? Because they've got birthdays to organise, they've got summer holidays to organise, they've got this to organise, they've got half terms, and they've got... It never ends. You've got to consider that throughout the year, they have other financial things that they have to deal with. It's not as simple as, well, why didn't you start earlier? If you had said that 20 years ago, they probably would have done, because the financial burden probably wasn't there as much. Now the financial burden is prevalent. It is so difficult being a parent in this day and age that to plan Christmas when you've got a kid then is exceptionally hard, exceptionally difficult. Some parents are really lucky and they manage to do it all really smoothly. Some parents are not so lucky. I have years where it's really easy for me to actually organise everything. And this year is one of them. But I have years where actually it's really difficult, and actually by the time I get to like the Christmas week, I'm still struggling to get everything in place. And I only have one kid, and it's like, oh no. But I have a large family. There's birthdays like right near Christmas. My son's birthday is mid-November. Of all the time to have it, it's mid-November. My son's birthday is mid-November. And I'm like, great. So I have to get through my son's birthday before I can even consider dealing with Christmas. Or I have to do them both at the same time. And it can get very overwhelming. When he was at school, it was almost impossible to do them both at the same time. So I used to do his birthday first and then start Christmas, which was really difficult because I'd get to Christmas week and still be sort of scrambling to get the last bits done. As he got older, it got easier. But I only had one and was struggling. He's older now, and there are years that I still struggle to actually allow like the Christmas run up to go smoothly every year. I still can't do it. Parents struggle this time of year. But the one thing we really can't do and shouldn't do is make it even harder for them by like going, oh well, you work, so you should make this really easy. Oh well, you've got money, you work, blah, 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 blah. Why are you struggling so much? No, absolutely not. Just because you're a working parent doesn't mean you've got all the money in the world, all the time in the world to make birthdays and Christmases go really easily. Absolutely not. You get pressure from other parents as well, because other parents who have a lot more money than other parents do spend more money on their kids and make it seem like if you spend less, you're a bad parent, or you don't love your children. That money equals love. That's wrong. But there are parents out there that actually do make it seem like they can spend all this money on their kids because they love them. And if you don't spend money on your kids or spend as much on your kid, you don't love them as much. The one thing we have got to sort out is this concept that because we're putting so much pressure on parents, not just through school, but as parents as well, that money equals love. It doesn't. You can spend 50 quid on your kid over Christmas and love them just as much as someone who spends 300 quid on their kid. You know, and because love doesn't equal money, time equals money. You spend Christmas Day or Christmas Eve or Boxing Day, you know, because some parents have to work over Christmas as well, and it makes them feel so guilty, you know. But any time you spend with your children is far more important than how much money you spend on them. That is what's important at this time of year. Don't worry. As parents, we have to remember that how much money you're spending on your children does not equal anything to them. They love the presents they get. They think they're amazing. But what matters to them more is how much time you spend with them. Even if you have to work over the Christmas itself, as long as when you're not at work, you prioritize them, that means more than anything else to them in the entire universe. So this time of year, instead of panicking and worrying and freaking out because, you know, you've got pantomimes and school plays and Christmas parties and work parties and Christmas itself and possibly even birthdays to worry about and spend money on. Take a step back, take a few deep breaths, and realise that as much as they love all of that and that you're doing all of that for them, what they care about more than anything else and what will stick in their memories when they get older is how much time you spend. Even if you have to work on Christmas, when you're not working, prioritising them is what they will remember. The memories they build with you as a parent. The things that you do together, whether it's doing board games on rainy days, going for walks when the sun's out, or playing in the snow and building snowmen, or dancing in the rain for fun, you know, playing in the leaves and making hot chocolates, really cold days, and sitting watching movies, you know, bedtime stories, you know, things like that. They matter more to your children than all the presents in all the world. And I know I get a little bit kind of teary when I talk about shit like this. I'm having a few problems with my mental health at the moment. I am in therapy, don't worry. Since my uncle's death, my mental health kind of deteriorated a little bit. And I get a little kind of teary every time I talk about anything kind of sentimental. So, yeah. But like I said, I am in therapy, so it's fine. Yeah. But these kind of things matter more than anything in the world. So try not to panic too much this time of year and allow yourself time to breathe and remember what's really important and what really matters. And that's spending time, making memories, laughing with your children, playing games, having fun. So ignore the world and try to just push all of the pressure that the world is giving you this time of year and step back from it, because it's going to bombard you and it doesn't have to. You know, if you just take a few steps back, every time you feel a bit over sort of stimulated by the world's sort of pushing Christmas at you, as a parent, take a few steps back, take a few deep breaths, and remember what's actually important this time of year. You and your children. That's all that matters. And for those of you who aren't parents, what matters is your family. People you love, people you care about. Because they're the people that matter. And I'm going to go. Bye.